What is going on, beautiful people? My name is BetSam, and this is going to be the UFC 313 full card breakdown. Starting off, the first fight of the night, we have Djordan Santos taking on Ozzy Diaz. And I'll tell you, I'm pretty low on Ozzy Diaz. You know, we slammed the weak Zhang Min Yang to knock this boy out in the first round, and he did exactly that. Beautiful step and elbow, rocked his damn world. But I will tell you that was up at light heavyweight, and down here at middleweight, you know, he's obviously going to have a slight reach advantage here of 4 inches. He's going to be a little bit taller, and he does have the more established resume between Djordan Santos and himself. However, Djordan Santos came in on Dana White's Contender Series against Will Curry, massive underdog. You know, I think he was plus 440 or something around that number, and he rocked Will Curry's world. 30-27 him. He didn't manage to find the finish, but I think that was due to the durability of Will Curry. Admittingly, yes, Will Curry looked awful in that spot here, but I think Djordan Santos, now that he's signed to the UFC, you know, maybe he's getting in some better looks in training, maybe he's taking his career a little bit more serious. His ceiling, I think, is potentially higher than Ozzy Diaz because Ozzy Diaz already stumbled multiple times in the UFC here. Djordan Santos, 10-1. I'm going to be taking him in this matchup. He's a little bit younger. He's looked a little bit better in his later fights, and most importantly, fresher chin. You know, Ozzy Diaz has been finished multiple times. It's the way he loses. You know, he's not going out there and getting wrestle-fucked the decisions. He is out there getting chin-checked, getting rocked, getting put down. And I think Djordan Santos can win this fight either by just outworking him, out-grappling him, or finding that chin. So I'm going to go Djordan Santos at a relatively high confidence of 7 out of 10. Then we're going Chris Guttierez versus John Castaneda. You might be scratching your head thinking, well, John Castaneda just weighed in last week, and that's correct. That's why this is going to be a featherweight matchup, even though they're both bantamweights. He's not going to make that full weight cut back down again, but he is still going to have to step on a scale for the second time in 2 weeks, and that concerns me. If this matchup was a fresh matchup, they were both scheduled to fight each other, he hadn't just made weight, and it was at their original weight class, I'd be all over John Castaneda here. I think it would be the rightful play. I still want to pick him, but my gut here is saying just stay away because, you know, maybe Chris Guttierez just gives in a little bit more effort later on, but he can be a little bit low volume as well. So ultimately, I'm going to lean towards John Castaneda, but I'm going to say this is a little bit of a stay away spot for me here. So, you know, the odds are a pick him, and I think that's absolutely correct. Then we have Marion Santos. You know, Marion Santos coming off the Ultimate Fighter. You know, he goes out there, defeats Khan Offley, looks fantastic when doing it, by the way, stuffing all the takedowns, chewing up his legs, then going upstairs with the hands. So he's coming off an absolute high point. And a lot of people are saying, you know, 15-1 Marion Santos, he's somebody to keep your damn eyes on. Only 24 years old, kid's forever improving. He looks slick. He looks like he's ready to stop takedowns and fire back. So a lot of people out there have very high hopes for Marion Santos, and I'm one of those people. Francis Marshall, on the other hand, here, you know, 8-2. He's a good guy. He's a grafter. A little bit bigger here than Marion Santos as well. He likes to mix in takedowns, which is why the odds are indicating that Marion Santos is going to get it done here, is because people are assuming that if Francis Marshall was stuck in a striking match, he's not going to win. And while I do agree with that concept, I do think $1.33 here for Marion Santos isn't my favorite play. You know, I wish that the line could be a little bit more sweeter. I'd like to see him around that $1.40, $1.40 range. But I am going with Marion Santos here to defeat Francis Marshall. I do think that he can sort of style on him if he can stop the takedowns here, chew up the legs of him, and then go back upstairs as well, similar to what he did against Khan Offley, even though this is a step up in competition. So give me Marion Santos. Confidence level, I would say maybe a 6.8, 6.9 out of 10. Then we've got Alex Morono taking on Carlos Leal. Carlos Leal, a tremendous favorite. I don't remember the last time I've seen somebody this big of a favorite when they don't have a single UFC win. But here we are. You know, we have Alex Morono, 675 or plus 575 if you're an American odds guy. Carlos Leal, $1.13. I mean, you know, it's crazy. Carlos Leal came in. I'm just going to call a spade here. He came in on his UFC debut on short notice, you know, took on Rinat Fakhretdinov, and he was juiced to the gills. Look, you can tell me he passed a drug test, whatever you want, you know, jacked out of his brain, veins popping out everywhere and acne all over his body. Grown-ass man there, you know, what was he, 29 years old, acne bursting out of all of his muscles. I'm telling you, Carlos Leal was roided up to the gills. Now he comes in here and, you know, that acne has disappeared. He's not looking quite as jacked there. And I say he's probably off the substance, or at least off most of it. So we're going to see what the real deal of Carlos Leal is here. I'm going to say that's still enough here to be able to go out here and out-muscle and out-will Alex Morono. His durability in that fight looked great. His takedown defense looked great. And he clearly has power in both of his hands. So I'm taking Carlos Leal here. I think he can knock out Alex Morono. You know, we've seen that chin fade of Alex Morono. And even though he's only 34, I feel like Alex Morono fights like he's a 42-year-old man. I mean, the effort issue that we're seeing from him, the way he slows down, he drops his hands, his chin's out there, and he just goes out there to trade. He's eating more strikes than he's landing in most of his current fights here. So I'm taking Carlos Leal. I think he's got basically all of the upside. So even though the odds are wide, I think that they're indicative because I think that's how it's going to go. So give me Carlos Leal to find the chin of Alex Morono and knock him out. Confidence level, 9 out of 10. Then we have underdog Bruno Ferreira at plus 130, aka $2.30, taking on Arman Petrosyan. I have taken gambles on Arman Petrosyan in the past, I thought that he could be able to beat Sharabullet. I've never been that high on Sharabullet. Goes out there and gets double spinning back fists. So I am dusting my hands of Arman Petrosyan. This man, you are done. Arman Petrosyan is never catching a slip from me from now until forever. And I am high on Bruno Ferreira in this spot. Arman Petrosyan coming off of a finish loss. Good. Give me Bruno Ferreira. 12 finishes. Most of them in the first round. Arman Petrosyan, notoriously a bit of a slow starter. Bruno Ferreira, most of his finishes come in round 1. So I'm taking Bruno Ferreira. I reckon he gets it done in round 1. Give me the Brazilian. Give me the powerhouse. Give me the Hulk that is Ferreira to smash Petrosyan and get my damn money back. And we have Joshua Van taking on Rei Tsuruya. And listen, I've tried to argue that Rei Tsuruya could cause an upset, could be able to sneak in a submission, all the rest of it. I've watched the tape. I've done the rest of it. Fuck all that noise. Give me Joshua Van, baby. The slick boxing, the takedown defense is improving. And I don't even know what it is because he ain't out there speaking English, but Joshua Van has this likability. Comment below if you also just like Joshua Van and you don't know why, because I love watching him fight, but I seem to like him more than that. I really want this guy to succeed, and I've been riding the Joshua Van train. I've been betting on him. It's been going pretty good. Charles Johnson did have a little speed bump in the road there. I thought Joshua Van was a good opponent to be able to disrupt that rhythm of Charles Johnson, but he made Charles Johnson look pretty good in there. But in this matchup, very different. I think Rei Tsuruya is going to want to grapple, and when he isn't able to get the takedowns later on the fight, that's when Joshua Van's going to find that extra gear, and he's either going to outwork him late in the second and third round, or he's going to find a finish. So give me a Joshua Van. He does sometimes drop the first round, though, and that's something you have to worry about. I think he wins this fight by unanimous decision, 29-28. Then we got Curtis Razor Blaydes taking on Rizvan Kuniev. And look at the damn belly on that beast. Kuniev is an absolute weirdly bloated-looking individual, former steroid abuser, similar to Carlos Leal, except this man he swelters up in weight, up in size, all the rest of it. We've seen different forms of him. And I think you're not going to know which version of Kuniev you're going to get until he steps on that scale. If he steps on there, he looks cut, he looks shredded, he looks like he's been dialing in his diet and stepping down on those vitamins, as Bobby King Green would have said about the Dagestanis. But if he's been sipping on those vitamins and he's leaned out a bit, then perhaps that Kuniev is a good underdog. If not, though, I think he gets absolutely ragdolled by Curtis Blaydes and pieced up on the feet, because if he's fat and he's chubby, Blaydes is going to be faster, he's going to be able to take him down at will, and he'll be able to ragdoll and do whatever he wants. If Kuniev turns up, though, looking good, perhaps don't pull the trigger on that Curtis Blaydes bet. I personally am waiting, and I'm going to go with Curtis Blaydes, though. Either way, I am going to take him, but I do think the line potentially will be a little bit wide. Rizvan Kuniev has a decent resume, and Curtis Blaydes has shown absolute suspect chin at times. And we got Bobby King Green taking on Mauricio Ruffy. And listen, Bobby Green is an interesting fighter because I thought he was better than he was. I thought that he understood how to fight. And then I watched him fight Paddy Pimblett. And at this point, I don't think that he has a fight IQ. He goes out there, dives into a submission, gets himself wrapped up, makes Paddy Pimblett look like an absolute god-tier human being, and, really screwed me on that one. So Bobby King Green, his IQ is absolutely questionable. His age, 38 years old. Bunch of finished losses in his career. Now he's taking on Mauricio Ruffy. If you guys don't know, this is part 1 of my 2-leg Slam of the Week. The other leg is Carlos Leal. I'm taking Mauricio Ruffy here. I think he finds a KO. Honestly, first round, second round. And people are going to say, oh, Ruffy's low output, he's low volume. I think it's only going to take a couple, man. This isn't James Yontop. Bobby Green's not going to be able to take the damage that Ruffy's putting out here. He doesn't have the durability. He's not holding that extra weight in his brain. So give me Ruffy here to find the knockout and put Bobby King Green into retirement. Then we have Amanda Lemos taking an Iasmin Lucindo. I bet Iasmin Lucindo back when she was plus 105, back at $2.05 if you're from New Zealand. And I thought that was a good bet, for the odds, I thought that, the younger person is going to be able to find the output there, win a decision, potentially a split decision. It's going to be maybe power versus output. But at these odds here, as a slight favorite, I could understand betting Amanda Lemos. And if the odds widen, I might even just arbitrage bet. I might even just bet out betting on Amanda Lemos and then take the spread there, take a little small profit, sit back and watch this fight. Because while she's old, Amanda Lemos definitely hits hard. She's still a good striker. And Iasmin Lucindo isn't like Verna Jandiroba. She's not this absolute world beater grappler. So I don't think she's just going to ragdoll Amanda Lemos. But I do expect her to come out here with the better output and be able to win a decision. But as I always say, especially in women's strawweight, if you're not damaging people and looking absolutely dominant, those decisions can just be right up in the air. So I'm going to take Iasmin Lucindo. Confidence, about a 6.5 out of 10. Then we've got Jalin Turner taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. And I'll tell you what, man. This one is probably the number one fight where I have scratched my head back and forth, wondering who I was going to pick. Because I truly believe that Jalin Turner is probably the most dangerous lightweight on planet Earth for 5 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, this guy is absolute hell on wheels. Jalin Turner hits so hard. He's so long. There are very few people that you have to worry about having those long, dangerous weapons. He's got KO power. He's got submission upside. So Jalin Turner in that first round, possibly the most dangerous man in the lightweight division for round one specifically, including Terrence McKinney. I think Jalin Turner goes out there and dusts Terrence McKinney at this point in round one. In saying that, though, Ignacio Bahamondes has looked the truth. I mean, this dude goes out there, puts an absolute beating on Manuel Torres. I don't know how many times he finished him in that fight, but it could have definitely been stopped earlier. Ignacio Bahamondes, comes out of a good gym, definitely good work ethic. I like the kid's story. Ultimately, I'm going to give a slight lean towards Bahamondes because he has the decision equity. He still has finishing upside. And Jalin Turner has shown that he has some quit in him. But I'm telling you, man, some of the comments I've seen this week, absolutely disrespectful of Jalin Turner. People saying that he's washed. People saying he needs to retire. Jalin Turner is 29 years old, and he can still put a beating on most of this division. So put some fucking respect on this kid's name. But I'm going to go Bahamondes, slight lean, confidence, 6 out of 10. Then we have Rafael Fiziev stepping in on short notice for my boy Dan Hooker, taking on Justin Gaethje. And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of happy and sad at the same time to see the Dan Hooker match scrapped, because I was worried for Dan Hooker that he might get KO'd viciously from Justin Gaethje, because we know Justin Gaethje is a dog and is willing to walk through hell. And that's one of the upsides that Dan Hooker usually has over people is, he's willing to take damage. He's willing to go to war, and he's willing to go to that dark place, and he can find success at the end of the tunnel, by still being there when you've thrown everything at him. And so I was worried that in that matchup against Justin Gaethje was going to do the same thing, but he was going to find that big power shot, because I think he has the more damaging one-shot power against Dan Hooker. So I did think that I was going to take Justin Gaethje by KO in that matchup. This is a very different matchup. Rafael Fiziev is fast. He's a fast twitch athlete. He's a highly speed-reliant individual. He's got good reflexes. He's got incredible spinning attacks, amazing leg dexterity. We've seen this fight before, but it's a whole new kettle of fish here, because Rafael Fiziev is coming off a knee injury. Justin Gaethje is coming off the most damaging loss of his entire career, right? His nose was shattered in the first round. He fought through adversity for 20 minutes and 24 minutes and 57 seconds or something, and then gets KO'd out bad by Max Holloway in front of the world on the biggest UFC event of all time. And we don't know how he's going to look after that. I think he's going to be all right. I don't think that it's going to be so bad that it's going to affect him, that he's going to turn up and he's going to be a shell of himself. But I can't say that he's not, So for those reasons, I do think that that's why the line is indicative of the way it is. And that's why Fiziev is getting shown a little bit of love here. It's because his chin wasn't the one that got checked. He hasn't taken this absolute big beating, but he did take a potentially career-changing injury. So I think there's stay-away signs for both of these individuals. As for my pick, I've bounced back and forth a few times. I think with the line the way that it is, you've got to go Justin Gaethje, because, we've already seen him win this fight. He was already scheduled on this card, so I'm going to ride with Gaethje here. As for who I would like to win, though, it's actually a different story. I do think that I want to see Fiziev win. I think, he's a younger man, potentially the future of this division, and I'd like to see him get a win here over Justin the Human Highlight Gaethje. Moving on to the main event. Main event time, we have Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. If you haven't already seen the video, stop what you're doing. Go check it out right now. Underdog opportunity over on BetSam. You know, you can check that out. Put together a beautiful highlight there. I'm taking Magomed Ankalaev. And before you start jumping in the comments and you want to rage or type Shama, all the rest of it, listen. Who do I want to win this matchup? Gun to my head, it is Alex Pereira. That's who I would like to win because he's more entertaining for the sport. I've said this to people that I've been bumping into in person. He brings more casuals to the sport, and casuals are a good thing. You know, all the hardcore fans don't, the casuals. The casuals are a good thing. They're the future watchers of the sport. So Alex Pereira is better for the sport here, but I do believe that Magomed Ankalaev, you know, he has done more than enough to deserve a title. I actually think this fight is champion versus champion because Magomed Ankalaev beat Jan Blachowicz. He beat Jan Blachowicz. Go back and rewatch that fight and tell me that was a draw. I think he won that fight, and so he should be the champion of the world. He hasn't lost a fight since. He didn't get stripped of a belt. They called it a draw. He's been out here winning fights that he didn't need to be winning. He should have been fighting for the title. We've had Jamal Hill stepping in, Yuri Prochazka. We've had all these people stepping in for the title fight, except the one guy that's supposed to be, which is Magomed Ankalaev. And now this is the part where I'm going to say how I think he can win. Alex Pereira is one of the most decorated and greatest kickboxers the world has ever seen for this weight class. I agree. Sure. But you know what? He's also hittable. He's showcased that he can be hittable. When he's standing in his stance where he keeps his hands quite in close and they're like this, he relies on his distance management and moving backwards often to get out of the way of shots. We just saw that Khalil Rountree was able to have success by stepping in with the left hand here. And now Magomed Ankalaev, I believe, fights a little bit longer than Khalil Rountree. He's a little bit faster when it comes to exploding in, and he's a little bit cleaner with his own combinations. Magomed Ankalaev, however, is susceptible to some leg kicks. Both of these individuals have upside. Magomed Ankalaev, though, has the deciding factor of the potential of takedowns. And people are going to go, Magomed Ankalaev's takedowns suck, all the rest of it. He has takedowns. Alex Pereira hasn't really showcased that he's using takedowns. Magomed Ankalaev has used takedowns as a part of his game. He used them against Jan Blachowicz when Jan had chewed up his legs. He has showed that if he needs them, he can get takedowns. So in this matchup here, if it's not going well for him on the feet, he can turn to that revenue, and it may or may not work. But I'm going to take the guy who has multiple paths to victory here. I'm going to take Magomed Ankalaev. Give me the younger man to be Anu, Magomed Ankalaev. Guys, that is the full card breakdown, done and dusted. And if you want to see where I'm putting my money, sign up to We Want Picks Premium using my link in the description of this video. Code BetSam for 10% off. You can join the greatest subscription for MMA betting, period. We Want Picks is the #1 value out here, and it's not even close. Only $10 a month. You get my picks. You get Angelo from We Want Picks. You get Jacob from We Want Picks. You get Adam's articles. You get an AI fight picker and all the tools you could ever want. Sign up to We Want Picks Premium using my link in the description, code BetSam. I will see you all fight night for the watch party. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, Ankalaev and you.